Come to the main business of the evening, which is the nomination for the 2nd Assembly District. And the chair will recognize Peg O'Donnell of Reading for the purpose of making the nomination.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here tonight with my fellow Democrats to usher in the re-election of a legislator who is important to all of us. 2 years ago, when Jason Bartlett initiated his candidacy, we all knew that it was time. It was time for us to stand up and elect a representative who would actually represent us. A representative who understood what the region needs. We all worked hard, and we got that representative. In the short period of time that Jason's been in Hartford, he's helped Reading move forward with the development of the Gilbert and Bennett Wire Factory into a residential and commercial community with legislation that enabled the special tax district to obtain $72 million of federal bond money. Jason has helped to secure $2 million for open space in the region. Jason has sponsored Lyme disease reporting and prevention legislation. Jason has received an 84% score from the Connecticut Conservation League of Voters. That's the highest rating among Greater Danbury state representatives. Jason has worked hard to increase education funding for this district that has resulted in historic increases in all 3 towns. Jason secured also much-needed bond money for WestCon. These accomplishments are actually pretty incredible for a freshman representative, but they're just the beginning, and we all know that there's a lot more that needs to be done. The next 2 years promise to be difficult, with the economy clouding the outlook for our state as well as our cities and towns. It's imperative that our representative be in the forefront of legislation designed to help our state and our communities to survive and thrive in this unsettled environment. We must get mass transit on track so that we can get cars off the roadways and constituents to their workplaces without emptying their pockets. We must find a long-term solution to the property tax increases that are causing local budgets to be voted down and services to be curtailed. Yes, there's much to be done, but we have the man to do it. Jason Bartlett has proved his worth. He is in Hartford, or he's here in this district fighting for us every day. His accomplishments speak for him. We in Reading are proud that we have a candidate who was incubated in Reading, matured in Bethel, works for the entire district, and that we have all sent to Hartford to do even more good things. He's a true hometown boy, educated in Reading, and then on to UConn for a degree in political science. He's one of us, and we are very proud. He's always approachable, compassionate, and unreservedly human. He understands the issues, and he never fails to explain them to those of us who still need the roadmap to get to the destination. We will need all of your help in November, and we will all need to be spokesmen and speak often and loud in his behalf. Local elections are won on word of mouth. We need to introduce Jason's name into every conversation that we have. We deserve no less than the best. We need Jason Bartlett. And therefore, Reading proudly nominates Jason Bartlett for re-election in the 2nd District.
For the purposes of a second, the chair will recognize Mr. Sonny.
Jason's really out there, really active on the issues and in this community. He's, as a matter of fact, we wouldn't even be here tonight, but Jason helped secure a $2 million open space purchase for the Terry Wow mansion, and that was something to really be proud of, and something that, deserves, applause. He's really good at stuff like that. And Jason also, he got a bond for WestCon, and I really appreciate that. I will be taking a class this semester. I really appreciate that. Also, if anybody know, we have a flooding problem at the Jensen Elderly Home over here in Kenosha. And the first thing Jason did was make sure the DOT, the Department of Transportation, was out there and it was doing stuff with the drainage system and making sure that those people can live a normal life, and that's very important. And finally, and most importantly, Jason, a grant of $85,000 to the Danbury AIDS Project, and that was really important because Christ says, what you do for the least of my people, you do for me. And that's what Jason strikes me as, a person that just doesn't care about himself, but he cares about the community, and he cares about people just a little bit less fortunate than he is. And that's very important, and we need somebody like that in Danbury. We also raise money for our education, for our kids, and I know for one, I have kids that's growing up in this area, and it's important that our schools, we need the money, and Jason will see to it that we get it. So I'm here to nominate him, and I think we all should stand behind him. Thank you.
And for the purpose of a further second, the chair will recognize Mr. Bill Shannon.
Thank you, Jim. I'm honored to stand here tonight to second the nomination of Jason Bartlett. Having lived in Bethel 47 years, I've seen firsthand what true representation is all about, and having been in politics a good part of my life, I know the commitment Jason has made to the town of Bethel, and Danbury and Reading. As you look at Jason and his track record, what he's done in the time that he's been in business in Bethel as a small businessman, raised 2 sons, Kai and Tim. 7-year board member of the Bethel VNA, such an important board. Jason has always given his time up very, very freely to make Bethel a better community, being on the youth commission, and as a state representative, I think the track record speaks for itself. The mere fact that we are looking at the open space that we have down in the Terre Haute property, and Jason has secured $2 million for the city of Danbury to purchase that and keep it an open space, and we don't want to sell it. Thank God we got people like Jason out there representing us, working to try to get state money back into the community and improve the quality of life for everybody in the town of Buffalo. I think we are all very, very fortunate to have a Jason Bartlett that is willing to give his time and effort on behalf of the town of Bethel, and I truly believe it's an honor to be here tonight to second your nomination.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to make the renomination of State Representative Jason Bartlett unanimous by acclamation.
So moved.
The second? Second. So heard. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. 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 So ordered. Congratulations, Mr. Bartlett.
Well, I have to say, this was a lot easier than the O2 convention. I've been around for a little bit now, it feels like. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, our former Congressman Jim Maloney, for taking the time out to chair this convention and be with me here tonight. You are one of my constituents, and I'm always happy to take your call because you represent what's good about Danbury and what's good about the 2nd District, for sure. I also want to thank my hometown girl, Peg O'Donnell, for getting up here and saying such nice things. I appreciate it. I appreciate Reading's support, a place where I grew up and was incubated. Officially as of this evening. And City Council, thank you for coming out and saying your good words. You, sir, are the future of the Democratic Party, and I am thrilled that you're here and participated, and look forward to working with you. And of course, my good friend Bill Shannon, who has been with me in a number of wars in the town of Bethel. Bill is somebody that I deeply respect and look for his guidance and his mentorship of my career from really the beginning. You know, the 2nd District is a bit complicated. It's a multi-district legislative district. And I would venture to say, I don't know how many of you would agree with me, but I would venture to say that the three towns have three very distinct personalities and three very different kinds of needs. And I would say that in '04, my logo was proactive leadership for our community. And I think that there was some truth to that. A friend of mine, in terms of what I've been able to do, a friend of mine said, Jason, when you go up there, just don't say anything for like the first year or so. And after about 2 weeks there, it was a bit difficult for me to not say anything. I was very engaged in all of my committees. I serve on education, finance, revenue and bonding, and human services. And I just feel that I have to, it may only be 2 years is how I approach it. And so I have to get in there and try to make a difference and try to represent my constituents and do something for the district. And what I've learned is proactive leadership is great. But really, the job as a state representative is to listen to your constituents and their needs, and to respond. And that's what I think I've tried to do. Because you can have 3 different communities, 3 different cities, but if you listen and respond, you're going to end up doing the right thing. And that's what I've tried to do. From Reading, one of my first phone calls was from a young man that I grew up with who's a volunteer firefighter, Scott Sanford. He was a fire chief at the West Reading Firehouse, and he could not be a volunteer because he became a paid fireman out in West Haven, and that he was told that he could not be a volunteer. And so he called me up, actually before I even took the oath of office, and he said, Jason, can you do anything? Can you do anything? And so when I got up to Hartford, I sought out representatives that had more years than I, and I said, here's my issue. And come to find out, there was a bill that I could co-sponsor and work on and try to get through all the different committees. And it didn't happen in my first session, but it did happen this year. And this year, we took care of that situation where now a volunteer firefighter can be a volunteer firefighter and give to his community, as well as be a paid firefighter. So I tried to listen and respond to him. There was another instance in Reading where a young lady was a single mom, and she had a baby, and the baby was taken off of Husky and had no insurance. And so I had to get a hold of the Department of Social Services and get the right person on the phone and get the paperwork over and figure out what the problem was and get that child back so that it had health care. There was one other instance that I can remember in Reading where it was a very difficult position to be in because Francis Clark and the town of Bethel wanted to expand, and I had a situation where my hometown, where I live now, wanted to expand the park, but was cutting across open space conservation easements in the state plan of development. And the town of Reading, the planning commission called and said, Jason, we want you to come to a meeting. And the Danbury neighbors called, and I had to look at the facts and look at the issues and take a position. And I tried to do that, and I think that it was the right position to take because now the town of Bethel can move forward and can look at their plan, and we can do it, and we can expand the park, and I think make both communities and all the communities happy and make it a win-win for everyone. In the town of Bethel, my hometown, there's been a number of issues. We have an organization called PATH, who first brought it to my attention that we wanted more open space within Terre Haute. We have a neighborhood, Old Lantern, in the Danbury section behind Terre Haute that wants to preserve their way of life and preserve their neighborhood. And so I came up with an initiative that some have spoke about tonight where the state of Connecticut could actually fund open space and give $2 million unencumbered to the town of Bethel, where Bethel could take the two plus negotiate for what I think much more with the town of Danbury and preserve land that's in the town of Danbury that Bethel owns as open space. That to me is a win-win. Listen and respond. That's an issue that I will continue to fight for. I've heard from others in Bethel. Most recently, Lisa Berg, our town clerk, called and said, Jason, we have 65 people on a waiting list wanting to use the trains in Bethel to commute. Smart growth, mass transit. Anybody heard of global warming? I mean, what do we have to do? So I approached the Department of Transportation and said, can we get more parking spaces there? We have state property right there. And so now, together with the Department of Transportation and hopefully our local officials in the town of Bethel, I look forward to making a difference and getting state money to get 100 more parking spaces or 50 more parking spaces or 35 more parking spaces, whatever we can do, whatever we can afford, so people can use our trains. And so too, just recently, I had a constituent call me who lives in Francis Clark. And the constituent cannot sell her home. And she said, Jason, is there anything you can do? So I drove out to her house and I checked it out, and she's clearly in the middle of the park. And I found out that the town of Bethel has had plans to grow the park right within the park. There are 3 different lots that the town of Bethel officially wanted to develop. The Board of Selectmen said so, the Bethel Economic Commission said so, and this lady was asking for my help. So I sought out leadership, and I sought out different committees and people who've done this before, and they helped write legislation so that we could take those properties off of an open space conservation easement and swap it out for other land within the 400 acres that Bethel owns there. Seemed like a win-win to me. Those are the kinds of things that I've been listening to, the constituents who've called me up and said, these are our issues, these are our problems, can you come up with a solution? And I've tried to respond. In the next 2 years, I'd like to continue my work. I seriously considered not running this time. Not because I don't love my job as a state representative, because I do. But because of the time constraints and the economic pressure of being a part-time legislator where you're serving full-time, and in a real estate market of which I've been a part of for the last 10 years that's crashed. So I've had my difficulties economically. But I've decided that I have a lot of work that is yet to be done. And I would ask for your support tonight in going forward to get the word out there that I am totally dedicated to the 2nd District, to all 3 communities. They're all really my hometown. There's a piece of each community inside Jason Bartlett. So I hope that you'll join me, and together we can make some good things happen. We can do some landmark legislation. I have committed to doing landmark legislation for Lyme disease, where we guarantee medical access, where we incorporate education into our curriculum in the state of Connecticut, and where we do something about prevention. It's an issue I've been working on for 2 years, and I'm very excited about the opportunity to be a sophomore and to get put forward landmark legislation there. I look forward to working with the new Speaker of the House and doing landmark legislation in terms of expanding health care, access to health care in the state of Connecticut, and affordability for small business in terms of health care in the state of Connecticut. I believe that that's going to happen in the next 2 years. And I look forward to working on continuing to work on the education community, to actually do something about the achievement gap in the state of Connecticut, to do something about graduation rates in the state of Connecticut. In different communities, it is abominable. And I look forward to working on graduation rates, achievement gap, restoring the money for the reading program for the town of Danbury, and making a significant impact in education. And in terms of the environment, As was mentioned, I have an 84% score with the Connecticut League of Conservation voters. And there's a lot more to be done. We need to get that water bottle bill through, and that's something that I'm committed to working on and make sure that happens. In terms of transportation, I'm committed to that Bethel train station, and I'm committed to our rail line to, just make it accessible, make it move faster, to do whatever it takes. We've just found out that we've lost $40 million now, somehow, somewhere, in terms of Route 7. So I'll join with Congressman Murphy and work together with the area legislators to see what we can do about that. But we really need to concentrate on mass transit in this area, and Greater Fairfield County and Northern Fairfield County for too long has been ignored by DOT. And I'm on the subcommittee bonding commission for transportation, and I look forward to working with Dwayne and a number of others in terms of getting the attention that we need here. And in terms of working and communicating with our local officials, I just want you to know you have my commitment that no matter what, I will communicate with every single local official in the area. I have a terrific relationship with our Republican selectman in Reading, Natalie Ketchum. And I have a terrific relationship with the mayor of Danbury, a Republican, Mayor Boughton. And I just know, I just can feel in my bones tonight that at the end of 2 years, that my good friend Robert Burke and I will get some great things done for the town of Bethel. So thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it.